Concerned residents of East Palestine, Ohio get stood up by Norfolk Southern reps. Learn who else is ignoring their health concerns after the train derailment chemical catastrophe in today's Daily Brief. Plus, hear where else the FBI is finding Biden document stashes. The education system has been corrupted. Learn the drastic measures some lawmakers want to take. Starting today with the bureaucratic no-shows. The Hill reports Norfolk Southern backed out of an East Palestine public meeting. But they didn't just back out. They didn't show up at all. Residents packed into a high school gym anxious to share their health concerns after a Norfolk Southern train carrying hazardous materials derailed earlier this month, forcing evacuations. But they were left high and dry when no rep showed up. The railroad company sent a statement instead, citing worker safety concerns. The no-show is only raising suspicions and frustration with Norfolk Southern. Ohio officials told residents the water was now safe to drink, after having just advised them to drink bottled water instead. Another no-show has been Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. He's barely addressed the Ohio catastrophe despite its link to a possible mistake in federal Department of Transportation guidelines. The Washington Examiner reports that according to officials, the train's cargo was mislabeled and lacked the high hazardous waste warning toxic chemicals such as vinyl chloride are supposed to carry. But instead of accountability or answers, Buttigieg is more concerned with firing white construction workers.
We have heard way too many stories from generations past of infrastructure where you got a neighborhood, often a neighborhood of color, that finally sees the project come to them, but everyone in the hard hats on that project looking like, doing the good-paying jobs, don't look like they came from anywhere near the neighborhood.
Pete's white. Why hasn't he resigned and demanded he be replaced with a minority? Looks like President Biden could use a better filing system because his dirty documents seem to be turning up all over the place. The FBI has now searched and collected documents from the University of Delaware and from two separate locations there, according to Breitbart. And yes, this is the same university which received nearly $7 million from anonymous Chinese donors, including direct funds from the Chinese government. This is the second university Biden documents were discovered. The first was at the Penn Biden Center, where classified documents were found. And it also has the millions of dollars in donations coming from China connection. At least 25 classified documents have been found now, some of which are classified as secret. Others reportedly pertain to Ukraine, Iran, and the United Kingdom. The state of education in America is in crisis. Fox News reports Alaska board members brawl over silencing dad exposing book on kinks and sexting. When a dad attended a school board meeting, he was exposing a book found under the guise of diversity and inclusion. But when reading excerpts, the Let's Talk About It book describes porn as a fun, sugary treat. The dad read from a portion of the book which provided tips to kids on sending naked pictures to their peers. At that point, the VP of the board interrupted the father and demanded he stop his comments against the book. A couple of the board members defended the father's right to speak, but the board ultimately voted to silence him. He has pulled his kids from the school and opted for homeschooling instead. Meanwhile, D.C. is turning social studies into social justice and perversion, according to the Federalist. The city's public school system will be rolling out a new curriculum for next year. Instead of learning the Pledge of Allegiance and about the country's founding fathers, they'll learn about gender identity, white privilege, and who is harmed by border policies. And at the collegiate level, California State University Monterey Bay has issued a guide to students which infers, in part, that if a teacher doesn't call on you, it could mean they're racist. Some lawmakers are saying enough is enough. Republican Rep. Thomas Massie of Kentucky has reintroduced a bill that would do away with the whole U.S. Department of Education. He says there is no constitutional authority for the department to exist, and that bureaucrats in D.C. should not be in charge of children's intellectual and moral development. Several other Republicans have signed on, but even if the bill clears the House, it's unlikely to get by the Senate. So here's today's takeaways. Those suffering after the chemical disaster in a small Ohio town have been abandoned by legacy media, the railroad company allegedly at fault, and the federal Secretary of Transportation. More of Biden's documents are being discovered at universities with ties to Communist China. There's an effort to dissolve the Department of Education, especially as kids are exposed to illicit sex subjects and parents are silenced. To learn more, be sure to go to AmericanFaith.com and subscribe to our daily newsletter. For American Faith, I'm Kristi Leigh.